Alright, welcome back to the next episode on Channel RM. I know it's been a minute, a long minute. Life's rough, is what it is. I am ready to get back into it though, and we have a lot of stuff going on, so gonna try to record all of it. But what I want to talk about today is this thing. I want to talk about a couple different things. I wanted one of these since I was like wee little kid, aka 18 years old, and I just couldn't get one. It's just life's rough sometimes. But I got one finally, thanks to help from a really good friend of mine. And there was one major issue with it other than the engine was blown up. It was an automatic. And that's no bueno. Everyone knew that. I knew that. So I knew some people manual swap these, but I did not realize how uncommon it was until after I bought it. And there's not a ton of information. So this episode is going to be more designated towards everything I did to make this run and drive as a 6-speed manual, and why you don't have to always listen to the internet. Because if you listen to the internet, everyone's going to tell you in every Facebook page, and there's a couple things when you Google it, that you have to tear the whole car apart and replace the wiring harness, ABS module, a couple other things. And I'm just here to tell you no. Okay, don't do it. Ain't worth it. Don't need it. I'm going to show you what I did to get this car running and driving, and show you the steps on converting it to a manual. It was extremely easy. The easiest car I've ever manual swapped in my entire life. Everything bolts right in. There's all the holes already drilled. You have to do nothing special whatsoever. Easiest car on this planet to manual swap. I'm located in eastern Pennsylvania, and these transmissions are dime a dozen. When I say dime a dozen, I bought mine with 60,000 miles on it for $125. I then bought a used flywheel, and I'll give a list of everything I did and what I paid for it, so you guys can kind of judge for yourself whether it's worth it for yourself. I bought a new XD clutch, just a factory replacement clutch, because I hear the clutches in these are really, really good. So I just went with a good quality XD. Other than that, everything is OEM. Most of it was used, whether it's off of eBay or from local junkyards that had low mileage parts. I got the pedals, the master, the slave, the hoses, all factory, drive shaft. What else did I get? The starter is different, but the wiring is the same, so I just replaced the starter. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I did replace the vacuum pump on the back of the head as well. I just took it off, and I put the plate over it, and I actually got the factory metal line to run over to the intake, so it's all factory. You don't have to, you can just run a hose over to it. But again, I was just buying everything because it was really cheap, so I just got everything OEM. And yeah, so the first thing I started with was the pedals. Now, I did attempt at first to change the pedals out without pulling the steering column. It doesn't work. I tried everything under the sun, it just will not work. You have to pull the steering column. Now, I didn't pull the steering column out of the car. I left it plugged in and everything. I just disconnected the back of it, and then the 4 bolts holding it up, and then the plastic on top of the column. Once you pull that stuff off, the steering column will just fall to the ground. Be careful, but it just slides right out and falls to the ground. Make sure the steering wheel is locked before you do that. That way it's not spinning around on you and stuff like that. Then unbolt the gas pedal, because the gas pedal is in the way a little bit. So pull it out. It's only 2 bolts, 2 10mm bolts. And then you're going to pull the 4 12mm bolts out of the brake pedal. And then there's a pin you got to pull out of the pedal. Once it's out, pedals come out, throw them in the garbage. No, throw the one in the garbage. It's just and then in reverse, the clutch pedal will bolt in exactly the same. And all bolts line up. Everything fits perfectly. At that point, you're going to want to pull the little rubber boot out of the firewall. In which case, once you bolt down the pedals, you can actually bolt the master cylinder on. And then put your clips back in. You can put the column back in at this point, and it's all done. Super easy. I struggled for an extra hour or so because I didn't want to pull the collar. It just will not fit. The clutch pedal is just real long. It just won't fit. So the next step is going to be to start unbolting your starter and your upper bell housing bolts and your converter. To take your converter out, you have to have either somebody else or do it yourself, which is a giant pain. I did it myself. Single-handedly pull the front of the crank, and you have your hole right here on top, and I'll show you that you reach in. I use a 12mm 1/4-inch ratchet, and it works really easy to get them out. Once those are all out, you get the upper bell housing bolts out, and then at this point you also want to get your coolant lines. There's 2 coolant lines going over here on this side to a cooler. You want to get those disconnected as well. In which case, whenever you get to that point, you can actually do this now if you want. Loop them. The hose is long enough and actually has a really nice bend to it. You just loop them together. And if you wanted to, you get the factory steel coolant line that goes up to the front of the water pump. It goes under the head. I didn't do that. It's the only thing I didn't change over because I just didn't find it necessary. So I just left it there. From what I can tell, most people do that as well. So from there, you can go underneath. Once you're underneath, it's also super easy. You're going to pull the drive shaft. First thing you do is pull the drive shaft. You're going to pull the 4 bolts in the rear, the carrier bearing. Slide it out, throw it in the garbage because you need a new one. You're going to get an OEM manual one. And then you're going to unbolt your cross member. At this point, your motor is going to come down, so make sure you're aware of that. That transmission mount will work on the manual as well. So don't throw it away. You don't need one. It's there. The rubber mount will also work as well if it's in good shape. So then you're going to pull your, usually with me, I only had like 2 lower bolts left, and then the nuts on the studs, so I pull those off. I unplugged the transmission, and I unbolted the cooler that's on the passenger or driver's side frame rail. Once that's unbolted, remove your training however which way you feel you need to. I ripped mine off violently and just let it hit the ground because I didn't care about it. And thankfully I didn't get that on video. So at this point, you unbolt your flywheel. Once you unbolt your flywheel or your pressure plate, use those bolts. Those bolts will work for your manual, no problem. They're the same in factory. So then, bolt your new flywheel on and bolt your clutch in. Whichever clutch you use is up to you. Most places, when you look them up online, will tell you that you have to buy, you can just buy any bolts for your pressure plate. Don't do that. I have the part number. I'm going to put it up on screen so you have the part number for the bolts that you get from Subaru and not have to worry about random bolts in your pressure plate. Nobody wants their clutch lost because they use some bolts from the parts store. And then at which place you just kind of go in reverse. Put the transmission back in, put the new manual drive shaft in, and then once all the mechanical stuff done and back in, which is very easy. If you're a mechanic, it goes in 5 minutes. From there, though, is kind of the tricky part. I guess not really a tricky part because I've already done it when explaining to you. So it's going to take you 5 seconds, it took me 2 hours. Is getting it to start. Okay? And that's the tricky part. You're like, how am I going to get it started? Well, what I did is I left the factory harness in. I unbolted the neutral safety switch off the side of the transmission. And I plugged it in to the harness that's still here. And what I did was I used that to start the car. I put the car in neutral. So you just put a screwdriver in the neutral safety switch, and you can watch it on the dash, have somebody watch it and turn it until it's in neutral. It's a lot easier on older vehicles. For some reason, this neutral safety switch has like 500 clicks. So like it's not 3 clicks in like a normal car would. It's like 9 clicks in. So do that, you get it to neutral. You could probably try park 2, but I didn't get it in park. I just put it in neutral. And it fired right up. And I did change the computer on the passenger side floorboard. A lot of people say to do that. It's a very easy process. I don't know if you have to do it. I'd actually like somebody to try the swap without doing that just to see if it starts and works fine. because I did swap them, and I did not swap the one out here yet. I might still, but also I think I was gonna wait because I plan on getting this thing tuned. Because I have a header coming and stuff, so I'm probably gonna get it tuned. So I'm gonna wait on that. But once I did that, I put that in. There's a security procedure. So if you're gonna do the PCM, which is on the passenger side kick panel, kind of a pain to get to, I'll be honest, but you can get to it without doing anything. And then you have to I took a paper clip, and you have to put it in 2 pins of the OBD2 port and turn the key on. You do that, your check engine light will flash. After that, you gotta let it sit for 30 minutes with the key on, doors shut. Don't touch the car. After that 30 minutes, shut it off, pull the paper clip out, it'll fire right up and run fine. Now, when I first started driving this, I never had a check engine light. Now recently, every about 500 miles or so, the check engine light will come on for the automatic transmission. But it doesn't affect anything. Actually, with check engine light's on right now, it doesn't even affect me. I'm gonna leave it on until I get it tuned, because I've talked to a couple tuners and they can tune it to a manual and then I shouldn't have any problems. But be aware that if you're in emissions county, you're, at least until you tune it, it will have a check engine light. We're not in emissions area, you don't have to worry about these things. But the biggest skeptical thing was everyone said if I don't do the harness, that it will not run, first of all, and then if you somehow get it running, is what they would say, it's going to be in limp mode. Well, I'm here to tell you, I've put almost 3,000 miles on it since I've swapped it, and it has never once gone in limp mode. It never once gave me a hiccup, issue, nothing. It literally runs and drives as if it was a manual car. And I did not swap the harness or the ABS or pull the entire car apart for no reason. I did wire in the reverse lights. The reverse lights are in the neutral safety switch, so it's super easy to find it. If you put the car in reverse, pin the light, pin the wire, it gets power. In which case, that's your reverse lights. Super simple, not difficult to find. If I get time, I'm going to post it up which pin it is, but I don't know if they're different between models and years. So this is a 2013 FRS. So it could be different, but I'm going to let you know how to find it as well so you can find it. After that, I've done nothing different to it manual-wise. I did change the boot and put the rubber boot on the interior, so you will have to do that. That's common sense. Otherwise, it runs and drives as if it was a manual car. And yeah, I just took it to Tennessee to a Circle of Drift podcast and had no issues, not a single hiccup the entire drive. I actually rebuilt the whole engine as well just before I did the manual swap. So it's on an entire fresh rebuild, manual swaps, the whole nine. I did do the flares, and I got coilovers on it now and stuff, but I didn't post a ton of videos because, like, everybody does these. I mean, these are the eBay plastic body kit. I just haven't painted it yet. They fit amazing. They're $140, and they're probably the best fitting body kit I've ever purchased in my entire life. I've bought real expensive ones and all kinds of other stuff. So it's real impressive how good this body kit is. I plan on trying to drift this, so I will post some stuff up because I'm going to start with it slow. How it is right now is how I'm going to drift it. And we're just going to go from there and see what happens. So that's pretty much going to be it. I'm going to try to keep everything informed. If you have any questions with the manual swap, post a comment down below, because honestly, there's a ton of stupid information on the internet. Just people cry and whine. They don't want to actually figure things out, which I'm really shocked about this car. I thought these cars were going to be, I don't know, more like 240s they were back in the early 2000s, where everyone's just doing different stuff, trying to figure them out. And it doesn't seem like people do that so much on these. But I'm loving the car, and I appreciate you guys sitting through this one. I hope this had enough information in it detailed enough to get your car manual swapped. But again, just to regurgitate the same thing, it's easy. It's so easy. It's just, I've done just regular training jobs that were 50 times harder than this, and I swapped it. So do not be discouraged to swap your car. It's super cheap, super easy. And honestly, with how light everything is on this, you do it in your driveway, honestly. So if you got an automatic FRS and you're sad, just manual swap it. It's so simple. Thank you. Please like and subscribe, and catch y'all for the next video, because I have a custom video for the Caddy coming up after this, and then after that is Spring Max Series, and we plan on recording that as well. So please keep a lookout for those, and I'll catch you on the next one.